Y'all, I am excited about this new series that we're going to dive into. I got to give credit to Letty Algieri. Told me about a great book she was reading called Atomic Habits, and she said, "Elaine, I think you'll love this book." And so I said, "All right." So I ordered it. I took her advice on it, and I'm always trying to read one business book and one health book at all times, just ongoing, just for my own personal development. I've read the first chapter of this Atomic Habits, and it is fabulous. I absolutely love it. And so today, what we're going to do is dive in and learn everything I just read about, and hopefully really put into practice these habits. And so let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we will go ahead and get started. So Atomic Habits, just to kind of help you kind of get an overview of what this book is about. I read this quote and I thought, oh my gosh, this is awesome. An atomic habit is a little habit that is part of a larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. And what we want is remarkable results. For the time we invest in our business, I think we all could say we want to maximize our results. So I'm going to give you about 4 incredible quotes that I read in that first chapter. So truth bombs, I guess you'd say. Number 2, it's so easy to overestimate the importance of one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. And I say this a lot of times, especially in this business. I think people their expectations for the first month or 2 in this business, they think they're going to make thousands of dollars. And so they give up. But what they surely underestimate is that investment of time, little by little. I love the Proverbs that says, steady plodding brings prosperity, hasty speculation brings disaster. And so what we want to do is make sure that we do not overlook the value of creating habits and consistently doing that. And we just finished, we finished the consistency chain 1, where it was just consistently connecting with one person a day and how that really builds over time. And I heard a lot of fabulous things happen with that, just that consistency of connecting with people. And so in the book, he gives these 2 illustrations on overestimating the importance of one defining moment and sorely underestimating the value of making small little improvements. And I'm going to read to you just a little paragraph. It says, the impact created by change in your habits is similar to the effect of shifting the route of an airplane by just a few degrees. Imagine you're flying from Los Angeles to New York City. If the pilot leaves from LAX, adjust the heading just by 3.5 degrees south, you will land in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. Such a small change is barely noticeable on the takeoff. The nose of the airplane moves just a few feet, but when magnified across the entire United States, you end up hundreds of miles apart. And when I read that, all I could think about is my journey on this Juice Plus business. At so many times, I feel like I'm treading water. But when I began to look back and see where I've come over 21 years, it's just those habits. Every time I learned a new system, a new habit, a new trade, a new skill, a new trick, implementing just a little bit. And where I am today is nothing extraordinary. It's only little bitty habits I've incorporated along the way. And so what I want us to do during this series is really begin digging deep within ourselves, learning from each other. What are those little habits that if I implement them, over time are going to have a magnitude effect on my business. Here's another little story or a little thought that he, in regard to this whole thing about just underestimating the value of small improvements. Here's a thought in regard to cancer. You know, we say this to our customers all the time. You know, when we hear, oh, I started taking Juice Plus, but I don't notice anything. What do we tell them? Well, what do you notice when you eat a salad? Nothing. Well, then why do you do it? Because we know over time, eating, the more salads we incorporate and we remove out the bad, over time, it's going to have a huge impact on our health. And the same is true for our business. He has a quote in here. He said, cancer spends 80% of its life undetected. And we say that all the time. It takes between 10 and 15 years for cancer to grow. So 80% of the time cancer is undetected, then it takes over the body in a matter of months. But what if, and this is what we say to our customers, you know, same thing, you know, 90% of our healthcare dollars are spent in the last 3 months of our life. What if we took our healthcare dollars and spread it throughout our lifetime? That's the same principle. And it's a powerful principle that I think we all dramatically overlook, that just if we incorporated a few key habits, we would see tremendous growth over time in our business. All right, so the next bomb that I'm gonna lay on you, goals are about the results you want to achieve, but systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Goals are about the results we want. I want to go to national marketing director. I want to get to sales coordinator, to senior sales coordinator. Whatever that next step is for you, that's your goal, and you're making a declaration of the results you want. But it's the systems that we have in place is what leads us to those results. So if you think about these 4 things, first we got to make a decision of what we want in this business. Do we want to go to the next level? You know, we got to make that intention, that decision. From that comes the habits. What habits do I need to incorporate into my daily activity? And then those habits, they have to be plugged into some sort of a system. So we have to have a system to help, and then we have those habits to make that system work that ultimately will help us reach our goals. So they all kind of work together, our mindset, then our habits, the systems, and then ultimately our goals. Or maybe we start with our goals, maybe your big picture. Where do I want to go? Do I have the systems in place to help me get there? Am I daily implementing the habits that make those systems work? And then it starts, do I have the mindset to make all this happen? All right, one more thought for you. You do not rise to the level of your goals. Just because I state a goal doesn't make me get to that goal. You fall to the level of your systems. So if we're missing our goals, it's because we don't have systems in place and we don't have habits that support those systems. If we want to take it even further, is we've not even thought about it. We've not made a decision. We're just kind of haphazardly doing this business. So when I started reading these things, I thought, wow, these are some powerful thoughts. So if we need habits and systems, where do we begin? And so what I did was sit down and say, okay, what systems do we need? And what do we do in this Juice Plus business? And truly, nothing really that we do falls outside of these 9 categories. So number 1 is we need to have a network of people. Now, some people come into this business with a huge network. Some people come into this business with a small network. One way or another, we better have a way to build prospects and have, a strong network, or we are figuring out how to build a strong network, because it starts with people. And the next thing we do is then, once we have this network, and we need to constantly be building this network, I don't care how long we've been in the business, we want to keep adding to that memory jogger list. The next thing is, okay, how do we get people out of our network into this prospect? How do we attract them into what we're doing, into our healthy living community, into health, nutrition? How do we attract them? So we got to have systems and habits in place. Then how do we get them from attracting them to be interested to bringing them further into, I'm ready to become a customer. I get what you're saying. I hear it. I see the need. How do we get them? What's the habits and systems to get them, bring them from prospect to customer, that conversion process? Then once we get them as a customer, how do we keep them? That customer care. How do we keep them engaged? How do we keep Juice Plus front of mind? How do we keep them consistent? How do we pull them into our community? The next area is, how do we attract partners? How do we inspire people to join us on this mission? So there's got to be habits and systems in place to make that happen. What about our team? Is our team thriving, growing, or are they dying on the vine? If we don't have systems and habits taking place to really develop and grow that team, they're going to follow our lead. The next area is social media. Do we have a presence on social media? And how do we systematically go about that? And what habits do we have? It's that consistency. That's an area I've got to figure out. I need to create a system and habits in place. What about planning and promoting events? When we have an event, we should have a slew of people on that event. So what is it that we need to be doing in regard to planning and promoting events? What systems and habits in place? And then lastly, personal development. What are we personally doing to develop and grow ourselves as business owners and leaders? All right, so there's our areas that we want systems and habits in place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions. And I want you to take these questions. We're going to have some homework, you guys. So we're going to take these questions and apply them to these areas that we just looked at. All right, so I want you to think about, what thoughts do I need to eliminate? What's going on in our head? Oh my gosh, I can't attract a customer. I can't even give Juice Plus away. I don't even know where to go to get a new partner. Nobody cares what I'm doing. How many of us have those kind of thoughts going on? Maybe a habit that we need to get into is quickly eliminating the bad thoughts, the thoughts that drag us down. Our minds don't know what's true and what's not true. But when I think about the minute I have a negative thought, what am I going to implement a habit that's going to eliminate those negative thoughts? Because it all starts with our thoughts. The next question, so if I look up here, do I have negative thoughts going on in one of these categories? I don't have time to do personal development. I can't get my team to do anything. What area do you need to eliminate some negative thoughts? The next thing is, what mindset do I need to embrace? Maybe a habit we get into is I just remember, and I've told y'all this before, I love this about my husband. He would have an index card with affirmation. And I tell this story all the time, but I love it. It's one of my favorite thoughts about Scott. Is I remember when I was dating him, jumping into the car with him to go somewhere. And I remember him always taking his hand, hitting the back of my chair and saying, I feel good. I feel great. How about you, Elaine? And it always got me in the absolute best mood. I love that was one of the things that just made me love being around him. He was always positive. So, what mindset do we need to embrace? I love that I'm in the business of helping people on their health journey. What if we just had a mindset of thankfulness, as Sandy Thompson was talking early, or what is it that I need to embrace, and what area of positivity do I need to embrace and create habits in one of these areas? What skill do I need to learn? You know, that's the beautiful thing about our Juice Plus business is the fact that you don't have, it's not anybody and everyone can do this business and be successful. And proof of it is, if you don't believe me, start listening to the National Marketing Director. Just Google Juice Plus National Marketing Director speeches. You will see anybody and everybody. There is no rhyme or reason to the people who are on the stage as national marketing directors, except that somehow, some way they've created habits and systems that got them to where they were. But who they are personally, it's so different. It's all about learning the skills we need to learn. So if you look at this, what areas do you need to create and develop skills in? We all know them. I can quickly look at the ones and tell you, okay, I see the areas I need to develop skills in. What habits do I need to incorporate? So of those categories, where do I need to create some habits that will help me be successful in that area? Maybe it's the fact that it's a system that I need to adopt. I don't have a system when it comes to maybe customer care. It's just kind of willy-nilly when I think of a customer, I reach out to them, but there's no rhyme or reason. Some people get totally overlooked and some people hear from me all the time. So is it a system? Maybe you need it in customer care, or what avenue do I need to investigate? And when I read that question, I'm going to make y'all dizzy flipping back and forth. I think of this area of how am I going to build my network even bigger? What avenues do I need to investigate that's going to get me in front of more people? Instead of wearing out 10 people that I'm trying to get on Juice Plus, why don't I invest in some different avenues to build my network? So these questions are just to help you kind of ask yourself your question, go back up and look at those 9 areas that we do business in. All right, and so here's what I'm going to challenge you guys to take home. This is your homework. And basically, this is just to ask yourself a question, same categories as I showed you above, but here's a question to ask yourself. And what I would love is for you to print this out, come back next week with ideas on how you're going to create habits in all these areas. So how will I expand my network? So think about, how am I going to expand my network? One thing that popped in mind, I didn't really have this planned, but on my refrigerator, I have a list of about 35 couples that Scott and I had. I started this, was going to implement this habit pre-COVID, and it kind of got sidelined because of COVID. But my goal was at least once a month, invite one of these couples to our house for dinner. So that's a great way, even though I know these people, it's expanding my network from just connecting with people, because I don't know of that group who may be looking for an opportunity to grow, to build an income stream, to dive into a community. So that right there, when I read how will I expand my network, one person who now I am in conversation about them coming on board as a partner is on that list. And she was on that list, and that's what literally triggered me to call her and reach out to her. So how are you going to expand your network? What's a habit you're going to implement? The second one is, how will I engage people so I can find out what their need is? That's how we're going to bring someone on over into becoming a customer. But first, I've got to find out what their needs are. So what kind of habits or systems am I going to implement to be able to find out what their need is? I can't wait to hear y'all's ideas. Number 3, how will I convert people from prospect to customer? Many years ago, and it's on our Team Extreme website under trainings, and it's also on my YouTube channel, all the way at the bottom. There's 4 quadrants on taking someone from prospect to partner. And so there are 4 quadrants on how to do that. So if you're like, I'm really not sure how to convert someone from a prospect to a customer, then I would encourage you to develop that skill, and there's a training just for that. Quadrant number 4 here, I guess not quadrant, what do I want to say, whatever 9 is, box number 4. How will I make my customers feel loved and appreciated? Many of us were on a call earlier on ways that we're going to implement some themes over the next few months that will help give you an opportunity to love on your customers, attract prospects, and make everyone feel appreciated. And so stay tuned for those ideas to come, but I would love to hear even more ideas, but know that's in the works and that's coming down for us as a team. How will I get people excited about our mission? Maybe you're going to invite some people to coffee. Maybe you'll do a video, post it on social media. Square number 6, what should I systematically be doing to help my team develop? The fact that you're on the call today is huge. But what about 3-way calls? Who do you need to do 3-way calls with? Who on your team just needs to hear from you? Maybe they just need you to walk them through that form that takes them to the next level. Have you been doing that for your team? One-on-one coaching calls, 3-way calls. All right, square number 7. How will I consistently show up on social media? I can't wait to hear your ideas on that. I'm still working on that one myself. What will be my rhythm of activity when it comes to inviting people to events? As a team, we're trying to do at least one online event. Personally, I'm trying to do a live event each month. And literally, I have it automatically scheduled in my calendar every month. So how will you systematically do that or create a habit? And then lastly, what habits will I establish in order to produce professional growth? You know, if you guys want to get this book and read it with me, this is what we're going to go through for the next couple of weeks on our coaching chat Zoom. The health book, I try to read a business book and a health book. The health book I'm reading and have been for a while because it's about this big is How Not to Die. Fabulous book. Love that book. So maybe it's getting your health certification. So print this off. I will post it on Team Extreme Facebook. And so print this off, flip it over on the back, and start jotting down those ideas. And next week, what we're going to do is take some time, and I want to hear from you guys ideas. I'm seeing Cheryl's cute face here. Her eyes are nice and wide. That makes me want to find out what Cheryl's thinking. But let's come next week with a ton of ideas surrounding those 9 squares of how we can truly create habits. So as you read those questions, how can I create a habit or a system? Or maybe you get a system from somebody else. We got lots of systems already created. So hopefully that helps you guys with this thought of habits.